Morning everyone. In our videos over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at covenants. Covenants are promises between God and man, and typically they're conditional, which means that they're dependent on the people doing what God tells them to maintain the covenant. There are loads of covenants in the Bible, but we're going to look at 5 main ones. Now, it's important to realize that each covenant does not cancel or replace the previous covenant, but adds to and extends it. So the first covenant that we're going to look at is called the Noahic Covenant, and this is the promise that God made to Noah and all the living creatures on the earth. Since Adam and Eve disobeyed God and were banished from the Garden of Eden, things on the earth started to go wrong. People continued to disobey God more and more, and when we disobey God, that's called sin. And the sin of the people angered and upset God, because God is holy and he hates sin, but he loves the world and the people that he created, and he wanted them to love him too. But the people of the earth had turned their backs on God, and their sin got worse and worse, and violence ruled, to a point that there was only one man and his family who loved and served God, and that man was Noah. When Noah was 500 years old, God told him that he was going to send a flood that would cover the whole earth because of its sin. He told Noah to build an ark. Now, an ark is a really big boat, and Noah and his family would live in the ark during the flood. God also told Noah to collect at least 2 of each of the different types of animals and birds that lived on the earth. And when the ark was finished, they would put all the animals into it. So you can imagine how big the ark must have been. In fact, it was so big that it took Noah and his sons decades to build, and Noah was 600 years old when they finished. Now, while they were building the ark, Noah told everyone that there was going to be a massive flood and that they needed to ask God to forgive their sins. But no one believed him. They just made fun of him because he was building a huge boat in the middle of the dry land without a drop of rain in sight. But when the ark was finished, Noah gathered all the animals into the ark, along with his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their 3 wives as well. And when they were all safe inside, God shut and sealed the door. Then it started to rain. The heavens opened and it poured down. It rained without stopping for 40 days and 40 nights. And soon after it started raining, the ark began to float. The rain continued to fall, and before long there was not a trace of dry land left to be seen. Even the highest mountain tops were covered with water, and everything on the earth was destroyed. Except, of course, Noah and his family and all of the animals that they'd collected together, who were safe and sound within the ark. The flood remained for about 5 months before God caused the water to start going down. Mountaintops started to poke through the surface of the water, so Noah released a raven to see if it could find dry ground and a place to land. But the raven returned to the ark. Then Noah sent out a dove, but it also returned to the ark because it couldn't find a place to settle. A week later, Noah sent the dove out again. This time, when it returned to the ark, it had a new grown olive twig in its mouth. This was a sign to Noah that there was new life starting to grow on the earth. But because the dove returned to the ark, it wasn't time for them to leave yet. The next week, Noah sent the dove out for a third time. This time, the dove didn't come back. Noah knew this meant that the dove had found somewhere to make a nest and live, and it was time to leave the ark. So they opened the door and let all the animals go free. When they left the ark, Noah and his family praised and thanked God for saving them, and God spoke to Noah and made this promise or covenant. Never again will I destroy the earth or all the living creatures in it. Noah, this is the covenant I am making with you and all the living creatures of the earth. It is a covenant for all time. Never again will a flood destroy all life. And this will be my sign of the covenant. I have put a rainbow in the clouds. It will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And sometimes when I bring clouds over the earth, a rainbow will appear in them. Then I will remember my covenant between me and you and every kind of living thing. So Noah and his family were saved from the flood because they believed in, loved, and served God, and they were righteous in God's sight. But at the start of the video, I told you that covenants were conditional, that they required action on the part of the people to maintain the covenant between them and God. And we'll see this in the weeks to come. However, this covenant is different. It shows the love and compassion of God for his creation. It doesn't depend on the actions of Noah and his family or their descendants. This is a one-way promise. God promises never to destroy the earth again. And the enduring sign of the promise is the rainbow. When we see the rainbow, we can be sure that God has everything in hand and he will not let man be destroyed. And it's interesting, isn't it, that during the pandemic, the rainbow is also used as a sign of support for the NHS and the care workers as they battle and save people against the disease. So when you see a rainbow, in whatever context, whether it's in the sky or in a window, on a poster, or even a child's drawing, hold on to that promise that God made to Noah. Never again will I destroy the earth and all the living creatures in it. Be confident that God also sees the rainbow and remembers his covenant. Thank you.